when I saw the title of this video, I knew I had to react. I haven't seen it yet, but are Pep Guardiola's tactics outdated? And that's a video by the club. So you've got Adam, United fan, Rory, Chelsea fan, and Boovy, City fan, if you don't already know that. This one's taken me by surprise a bit. To call him outdated for one off season is seeming a bit premature. But let's see what the boys have got to say, because I'm going to struggle to see why Pep Guardiola's tactics are outdated.
Have you heard Pep Guardiola speaking recently, Booth? Like, we've been digging on Adam for a bit, but it's gonna, you've got to be careful what you say, because suddenly it comes back at you. Have you seen Pep Guardiola has been talking about the potential of his own tactics being outdated?
Yeah, it doesn't
how he needs to
me.
reimagine himself.
Doesn't surprise. Every great manager has tactics.
Okay, this is fair enough that he's going off what Pep said, but before they sort of explain it and everything like that, from my point of view, if you're a manager and you do the exact same thing year on year on year, you're going to be easily found out. So you always have to update your tactics, but it's sort of, I don't know, how do you feel like your tactics are outdated?
That have to evolve. That's why we argue Fergie's the best of all time, because you could argue he didn't really have a philosophy set in stone. He every 8 or 10 years, he went from 4-4-2, 4-3-3. He changed.
It's like Ancelotti as well. Sometimes not having a philosophy as such, sometimes it makes you a better manager. It makes you more
that can be definitely true. I think 100%. You should adapt to who you've got to play at times, though.
Your style rather than a formation or something, right?
I don't think
it can be in your spirit. It can be in the way you approach.
Yeah, your spirit, absolutely. When Carlo Ancelotti was at Chelsea, if somebody said to me, "What was the philosophy of that team?" Score loads of goals, like
and
attack,
defend well.
Score goals, and don't concede.
The basics of football: attack well, defend well. Football's easy that way, isn't it? It's a funny way of doing it. Talking about what is the philosophy of sort of managers and the greats, because Alex Ferguson, Ancelotti,
to his players.
You don't say they've got a style where you do a bit with Pep.
Pep struggled this season. It's the first time as a City fan I felt that he actually has no philosophy this season. Going into those big games, it felt 4-4-2 at points. It felt like just put De Bruyne in for one game, then take him out, put Phil Foden and move him around. One game we have two wingers, Doku and Savinho. Never looks like it's working.
I kind of agree with him, but I also don't agree with him. Sort of the 4-4-2, if he's movies should have been watching, is we've adopted that before. It's kind of the second striker is a De Bruyne. Let's say with Haaland, I've seen it with Aguero. Once we are attacking, actually De Bruyne actually goes up front in terms. Not always him, some other players, but they go up front. So it's kind of a 4-4-2 isn't that unusual to see City in when we're attacking. Defensively, you won't see that as much.
Liverpool game was really poor. Some managers need a philosophy to stick to, and we don't keep the ball very well. We're not a good counter-attacking side, not very physical.
This is the problem, though. When we talk about his
we don't
philosophy...
counter-attack anyone because people sit back, so I think you're wrong on that, to be honest.
But I think part of the reason it isn't working isn't because the philosophy is either outdated or worked out. I think part of the reason it isn't working is because so many players at Manchester United, at Manchester City, correct me if I'm wrong, they're just not good enough to play for Manchester City. Like, to play... No, those boys... Let's not talk about those boys. So, obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is a very specific example. We'll move on. Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, even to a degree, even though he's younger. It feels like they've had their wave in the way that, Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum had their wave. That might be over. But, the players that have come in, I don't think Doku is good enough to play for Man City. I think he's a very good player. But I don't think he's good enough to play for Man City. If you think about the standards...
It depends on how you see it, and I think Rory here is going to go back and compare him to sort of Sane and Sterling when we got a 100-point season, the Centurions. Comparing him to them, he is not good enough. He wouldn't get in that side, but Sterling and Sane were two of the best wingers, sort of on form at least, in the world at that point. Now you had Salah and Mane, I'm not saying who is exactly, but it's unusual to say that you can't always get someone who's going to be that high. And Doku's young. He's not going to be, boom, straight at that level. But that's when if we're going to go and buy a 27-year-old, that's what we expect. But with Doku, we're not going to get that.
If you think about the standards, the players that they're replacing, and maybe the style of Guardiola is completely fine. The personnel can't carry it out.
You know what Pep hasn't had to contend with in any of his previous jobs? How long was he at Barca?
4 years.
How long is he at Bayern? 3?
3.
Yeah.
He's never been at a club for this long.
No.
He's
No,
never
that's
had
true.
to
The
go through
longest
that,
he's been at a club is City.
cycle of change and
I think
regenerating.
he did it at
recycling.
Barcelona, didn't he?
And
Because
I
that
think-
first team, he then kind of they won the treble. in
Not
his
over
first-
such a long, like many of the players that he would have settled on when he got there would have still been
Yeah,
there when he
yeah,
left.
there was
And
a
I think at
continuity,
City he's
yeah.
having to.
It's definitely a
regenerate
different
the team,
challenge
and
for
I
him,
don't-
but
he
that's
hasn't
why
made
you
it as
won't
well.
get players
In the
at
summer, he
the
kind of went, I
top
don't want
standard
to sign him.
straight away.
Massive mistake.
not
because
short-term.
your recruitment's key. You've got to continue evolving, continue recruiting players and
Yeah.
bringing them in. And City's recruitment, 99% of the time, has been excellent. It's been the best. But I think they have missed a trick in the last 12 months where they probably could have, looked to replace a few of the players
But
that
the
were on
players
their
that
way
they did
out.
bring in, like, look, I think Savinho.
Adam's right there. The summer we had wasn't good enough to keep maintaining the level we were at. And let's be honest, at the level we were at was exceptional. It was something that sort of the Premier League hadn't seen before. You don't win 4 in a row with a treble in that at the same level and not progressing. So that's true because all we signed was Gundogan back on a free, who's an aging Gundogan, and then Savinho, who I enjoy, but he wasn't going to come in and, score 20 goals a season, 15, 20 goals a season. He wasn't going to do that. So City could have progressed a bit better in that way, and you saw it with the January window. They do go and sign the players.
Savinho, in my opinion, is a better player than Doku.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Savinho could become good enough to play for Man City. I don't think Doku will. Savinho could be.
I disagree. I think Doku has the quality to do it. You can see the dribbling style of Doku terrorises defenders. 9 times out of 10 in a game, he will have probably the most dribbles in a game. It is that final third ball that gets him from being a good player to a world-class player. Savinho, I think, has that in his locker, and you've seen it with some of his crosses and assists.
Neither of them look really
but it just needs to gel a
ready.
bit.
No, but that's because
when you think
I
about what
City
Sterling
as a
and
whole
Mahrez
don't
were
look the
doing.
same.
But John Stones did
See,
look very
Sterling,
great.
Mahrez,
That
I
was
said
one of
Sane,
his first
yeah.
signings. Ilkay Gundogan took him 3 or 4 years to get into the City.
Right.
Like, really.
Right.
Bernardo
Believe
Silva
he's
came
right
in.
there.
Sane was very young. Sterling was so. Remember Sterling?
Sterling
It was
was
Pep's
raw, yeah.
first season. It was crazy. Had a terrible keeper.
Yeah.
I forgot the Barcelona
Bravo.
keeper. What was his name?
Bravo.
Bravo. Yeah. But Adam's right. He's in the second spell now.
Do you
Do you know what I mean?
think?
He's a second generation Guardiola side.
Yeah.
Also,
They're all gone
I don't
now.
want to get into
Silva,
it because
Fernandinho,
it's
they're
none
all
of our
gone.
business and it's his personal life. He's had a lot to deal with personally, going through a divorce and things like that. That can't be easy.
Do you know?
Would have
do you
taken
know
a
with
toll
some-
on
I,
him.
do you know
I
with some
want to
managers,
talk about that
you get
on the
there's a
pitch.
moment,
I understand it
isn't
can
there?
distract
The
him a
only one that
bit,
this
but I
hasn't
don't think
happened
it
to, I
would
think.
from his job.
It hasn't
as
happened to
much.
Ancelotti, and it didn't happen to Sir Alex Ferguson. The rest, let's use Mourinho as a great example here. Mourinho, in my opinion, in his pomp, was the best to have ever lived. Mourinho, if you want to go, say,
Chelsea bias, but it's
05 to
fine.
10, something like that, I just think he was just unbelievable, just truly unbelievable. But there was a moment, wasn't there, where he just suddenly wasn't it anymore.
Fell off. Yeah.
It's not that he's not a very good manager, very capable.
But the thing is with the Mourinho one was he didn't just drop off and then he wasn't a good manager. He dropped off at the club he was doing really well. At Chelsea, the reason why he got sacked at Chelsea was because he fell off a bit. Real Madrid, it sort of the clubs he's been at, he's done really well at, but then dropped off a bit. I don't think it's the same as what we're seeing with Guardiola yet. Now, Mourinho now obviously he's at Fenerbahce, I believe, or Galatasaray. Sorry, one of them two. It is a drop off for him, and Pep could do that in the season. But sometimes you just see some just go. You know what? I'm done with football. Ancelotti will probably do that. You won't see him go down lower leagues. Sir Alex Ferguson finished at United. Not saying that they didn't do their dues there, but it's just kind of sometimes they will just go. You know what? We're done. And not ruin their legacy, whereas Mourinho kind of has by taking on other sort of jobs.
Very understanding of the game. It's just that his tricks stopped being magical. And I think a lot of managers, it happens with Wenger. Wenger went from being a pioneer, a philosopher, somebody that reinvented the game
people
to a
catch
degree.
up with you because
Suddenly,
the game evolves massively.
Arsenal went a decade without any silverware at all, and they were totally out of the idea of winning the league. They went from winning the league, winning doubles, competing for the league every year, to literally not being in contention for the league under Wenger.
Pep's so young.
Yeah, but
So
is
young.
there a world where that He's not young enough for it to not have
That
happened.
definitely
No,
could
he's in another part
happen.
of his career.
Yeah.
I
He's
don't
not
think
right
he's
at
got
the
any
end.
right to
He's
win
never finished below
every
30 his
season.
entire
Like this
career. He's
season,
been
we
manager
may
since
not
2008.
we may
By
not
the
win
same
anything.
token, he's never been a manager of a club capable of finishing. Like, if you're the Bayern Munich manager and you finish
That's true.
fourth, that's
very true.
mental, isn't
That's
it?
very true. But still, to have that record of first over and over again, a couple of seconds
Yeah.
in 15, 20 years.
No, there's no
I
doubt.
think you're right. If it's if next season we're soft in midfield, he hasn't addressed the midfield issues, can't keep the ball, Liverpool play through us, Arsenal beat us 5-1 again, then I think you're going into something for sure.
Do you think it
But
affects
one
his
season
legacy?
off, he's
Yeah,
out of
I
one
think
Do you
you
think
have to question what he's
Yeah, I agree
doing
with you, actually.
in
Yeah,
that.
I
Agree with you.
Uh,
If we're having this conversation in
This
a
time
year
next year.
time, in a year's
And you
time,
could be, you might be right.
Mm.
But at the moment, we're talking still some of the best players in world
it's a
football
great
play at Man
opportunity
City.
actually, because he can almost, not that his legacy needs securing. He's clearly either the best or the second best Premier League manager, and maybe the top 3 managers of all time in the world. Certainly in my lifetime, I can think of, like, in terms of the best managers: Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola.
Find out how to max your annual leave in 2025. Plan your trip around UK bank holidays and enjoy a week or more away.
I mean, Saki.
Carlo.
Yeah, right. He's one of them. But if he can have this season off effectively and go again, if he ends up maybe winning 3 leagues in a row again at City, suddenly it makes him.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
If he does
But
do
equally, if he doesn't
that,
win another,
if he does do that, I think there should be no question that he is, I think, number 1 best manager in the world. So, like, nearly probably of all time, because to do that is outrageous. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson did do that twice, but I think Pep's actually broken the records that Alex Ferguson had, and I think that does outdo him, because of also you've got the Barcelona, you've got the Bayern Munich. I know what Sir Alex did, but I think if he does something like that, he's turned into 2 sides that are unbelievable. Well, more than two City sides. Let's forget the Barcelona side that was unbelievable. He's created them.
another one, it ends any conversation.
I also think
Yeah.
If it's over, because as you say, he's young for it to be over.
The issue is he's got a very short contract, so you might be right. It's not like he's got a 10-year, he's got a
No, but
2-year
that's
contract.
easily.
But that's
extended.
why your recruitment's so important, because he burns players out, man.
I know.
Mentally, physically, they get.
Bernardo looks like he's.
Yes and no, because look, we've won 4 in a row. No other team did that. Sir Alex Ferguson did the same. Like when they won 3 in a row, they were still burnt out in the 4th year. It happens, especially with games playing more and more. City have got the Club World Cup in the summer. That's added more games. Okay, you might not see a full strength side, but you'll still see a big one, because there's now a big prize pool to win. So I think all managers will do that when they're trying to compete for every single title.
Winning 4 league titles on the bounce with most of the same players, they're going to be done.
He's just come off the back of doing that. By the way, never been
That's
done
why
before in
Kevin De
English
Bruyne's
football.
hamstrings
Never.
are made of.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't
winning
give me a
4
single
leagues
size where it goes
pulled
four badges in a row on the table.
No.
Ever.
Four leagues in a row is
Incredible.
absolutely stupid.
Domestic
It's
treble.
absolutely, it's a 100-point season. It's absolutely
He's won 2
stupid.
trebles in 15 years as a manager.
No.
2 separate trebles.
No, 3. Did he not win? Did he
Treble
not
in
win
Spain.
2 at Barcelona?
No, he won 1 treble with
I
Barcelona.
thought he
one
won
with
it in
Man
his
City.
first season.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the only one he did?
Yeah, they won a
Then he
treble
won
with
it.
He did
Luis
this.
Enrique.
He
He
did
won the
6,
treble
I
at
think it
Bayern.
was,
Did
in
he
one
not win
year
the treble?
for
He
the
won-
way
he
their
won all 3
trophies
trophies,
worked.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You might have won a domestic treble.
He
with
never
won
Bayern.
the European
But he
Cup,
didn't win
yeah.
the European Cup.
No,
he didn't
no,
win
I
2
think
league
he
trebles.
won all 3
Like a
trebles.
traditional treble, he's only won 2.
He won
Right.
stupid amount of trophies. So don't.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't
No,
win the
it's,
Champions
And he
League.
did that 2
Oh, he
years
did-
ago.
sorry,
so
didn't
it's
win.
Got to give him a chance.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
hopefully.
So what do you boys think then? How much longer has Pep got in the tank at City, and does he go back to his old winning ways?
Yeah, I think you'd be mad to write him off.
I'm interested to
You'd be
see what
mad.
he says. Yeah,
I kind of think they win the league next year.
Rory.
Who do you think wins
Multiple
the league?
By the way, Rory really wants to say no. He doesn't. He really does. But I think even he knows he can't really say. You can't write him off, like he said.
No,
Who do you think wins the
I
league
think
next year?
City could win multiple trophies next season. He's that good.
Do you think Arsenal have missed the boat on the
Of course,
who wins?
they've been doing it for 3 years.
I've been predicting
They've never
Arsenal.
been on the boat.
I've been
Rory.
They're not on the
predicting.
boat.
They've never
They're
been
on
on the fucking boat.
I've been predicting Arsenal win the
They're on the
league
little
for
dinghy
3
next- yeah.
years, and I now believe they're not going to.
I'm going to stop it there because they're talking about Arsenal and just ripping into them. This is not what the video was about for me. It was talking about Pep Guardiola. And I think they come to the conclusion of his tactics aren't outdated. He will evolve with them. but a few personnel changes have got to be made, and that's what all City fans are expecting this summer. It's the way the game goes, really. You have to keep adapting your squad, and that's how you remain at the top. And when you lose that factor, you drop off. And City have dropped off this season. Now, we still could mathematically... Well, I think we can mathematically win it, but we're not going to. There's a small chance of coming second, but there's a good chance of us coming third. Now, if we finish third, and this is our dreadful season, and let's say win the FA Cup, touch wood and all that, it's still a very good season. It's not the expectations of winning 4 in a row, but I think every City fan should take that, really. Let me know what you lot think in the comments. Are the boys at the club right? Pep might be on a downfall slope here, or will he be back next season? Let me know what you think in the comments.